Frankenstein, Dracula, werewolves, phantoms, zombies, gorgons, mad scientists, abominable snowmen. These are the monsters that they have created. Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Ingrid Pitt, Veronica Carson, Oliver Reed, Madeline Smith, Barbara Shelley, Michael Gow, Hazel Court, Bartine Beswick. These are the people that faced the horrors. Jimmy Sangster, Terrence Fisher, Michael Carreras, Peter Sasdy, John Elder, Evan Jones, Anthony Hines. These are the people who created the horrors behind Hammer Studios. Welcome to Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, your gateway into classic horror cinema, brought to you by Broken Lighthouse Pictures and Something Wicked Entertainment. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors. I'm your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the owner and operator of Something Wicked Entertainment and Events, and I want to welcome you to our program today. I really hope that you have been listening to our program, as you will know that what we do is we take an individual Hammer Studio film, and me and a special guest kind of critique, analyze, kind of get into the nuts and bolts and the those wooden stakes and everything else that have to do with some of those classic films from that era, because we think that they are just not given enough love out there, and especially with this current time period, a lot of people are not familiar with them as much as they have made an impact on the genre and on many of us older audiences who were around in the 60s and 70s to enjoy them. So with that, I would like to bring in our special guest for today before introducing the film we are talking about. And our special guest is Mr. Jim Adams, a really great lover of the Hammer Studio films. Thank you, Jim, for joining us today.
I'm one of those old guys that like to Hammer stuff. I love this stuff, man. I was big into monster movies as a kid, as everyone knows. And when Hammer started hitting the United States, I immediately fell in love with all of their movies. I just loved the way they made movies.
Yes, which is one of the things we'll get to today as we talk about the film. These Are the Damned, also known as The Damned, from 1965, which is the date in which it was released here in the United States. So I know when you're looking for this film, you might get a little confused, which is why I said all that great information for you. But please make sure that it is the one that actually has Oliver Reed in it, so you'll know which one we're talking about.
Yes, that's right. The one with, it was one of his first films.
So before we get into all this, I'll have to tell Jim, because I had not seen this film before actually discussing it for the podcast, but I know Jim has, because he told me a little bit about the film before I saw it. So tell us, Jim, just a little bit about your impressions and a little bit about your background with this film.
Well, this is one that almost eluded me too. I mean, I was near the end of high school when I finally saw it. So it was like, we're coming up like in the early 70s, and it had already, had been out, 5 or 6 years before. I didn't see it in the theater, and I don't remember its release in the theater. It was one of those Hammers that just got away from me, because a lot of them I did see in the theater. But this one, and then I lost track of it after I'd saw it the first time, because it didn't get a lot of TV play. Yeah, I was surprised. This would have been a perfect one for CBS late night, and it may have made a couple of airings during that show, because they did a lot of the Hammer films. But somehow I missed it, and it wasn't until it started getting released on home video that I thought, wait a minute, The Damned. That sounds really familiar. And of course, in the United States, it was called These Are the Damned. So I rented it one night, and it was like, oh, wait a minute, this is that movie. Okay. and then I ended up, getting it on, getting it digitally and on Blu-ray and all that stuff. It's now been released in a lot of different, if you look for some Hammer compilations, you can usually find it. And so it's been beautifully restored. But if you're going to look for it on streaming, it's usually called These Are the Damned.
Yeah.
So they stick to the American title. But I'm not sure on the streaming on the streaming ones. I think you've seen one of the streaming ones. The originally the American version was cut by 10 minutes, and then and then the Blu-ray and the DVDs put it all back in. It's all now. I don't know if the streaming side they might have all that in there. It was just some a couple of violent scenes that they had cut out for the original one. So I don't think it really hurt the film that much. It just, the Brits are sort of weirded out about violence, so they tend to cut violence more than anything else. So can't tell you if you watch it on streaming, if it's 87 minutes long, then you got the full bore right there.
Gotcha.
That's the one.
Okay, so for everyone who has not seen this film like me, this one was an oddity for me, and so I went in completely blind, which was actually pretty good because it came up with some story elements that I was not expecting until it came up. And I actually really like that. But what we want to do is we kind of start off with our main character, Simon Wells, played by Macdonald Carey. Is that
Macdonald Carey, well-known American actor.
Okay.
Probably most people would know him for his soap opera work, because he was sort of the king of B movies in the 40s and the 50s. But then after he got away from that, and he did a lot of westerns and stuff. When he got away from that, he landed a role in Days of Our Lives, and was in that for years. I mean, like 20 some years.
Oh shit! Okay.
So a lot of people, and he did a lot of voiceover work, so you might recognize his voice more than him. In, TV commercials and things like that. He did a lot of narration and that sort of thing. Old radio guy too. I mean, he had a really good radio voice.
Interesting. I was not familiar with him before I saw it. Actually, with the exception of Oliver Reed, I'm not really familiar with most of the actors in this movie, which is one of the refreshing things about the movie for me.
Yeah.
Because we talked about Oliver Reed, and I have, for some reason, I've never seen this movie that he's in. I'm like, oh, it's these films. It's so weird.
You're not really alone on that one, because I on my podcast I did this a few years ago. Did a show on this movie. And a lot of people wrote me and said, I didn't even know it existed. Wow. They're really, it just like you said, it takes you in some directions you never see coming, which I always loved about this film. And it was like, you think you know where they're going, and then boy, do they go off in a different direction.
Yeah.
Keeps you on your toes, which I love. I love it when a movie does that.
It does, especially with the beginning of this film.
Yes.
The beginning of this film is, I actually kind of thought of this film. I was like, what am I watching? Is this some type of like odd beatnik film?
Yeah, this isn't a horror film. Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Especially with that song by James Bernard wrote the music. And one of the writers of the screenplay, Evan Jones, wrote the lyrics, the Black Leather Rock, which was performed. And I didn't know this at the time, folks. I had to look this up. A group called Midnight. And it's the stupidest song I've ever heard in my life. But it was like one of these old rock songs.
They play it, and the characters sing it, and it comes
all the time.
The entire movie. I was like, by the time the movie ended, I was like, oh man, I love that song now. And I'm like, that song is like,
you can't get it out of your head.
Can't get it out of your head.
And you think, what is this? It's going to be a motorcycle movie or something? Because it's a British motorcycle gang, which is. Got to tell you, folks, we're not talking Hell's Angels here. They're dressed to the nines, and the black leather that refers to their attire.
Well, it reminded me of Psychomania, and so
it is exactly like Psychomania. Yes.
That's that. So I got that. Yeah,
that was made about the same time by Hammer Productions. So yeah.
So yeah, I was thinking about that as I'm watching this and seeing this gang led by the really suave dressed Oliver Reed, where the rest of his henchmen are all dressed the exact same, which is different than him. And
walks around with an umbrella, and all that.
Yeah, I know. And what's happening is they're using what is his Oliver King? King is
yep.
Is who Oliver Reed plays, and his sister Joan is he uses to help him rob locals and rob whoever comes to the tourists
Right.
and stuff like that. And they don't just rob people; they beat them up
Oh,
too.
they beat him up. Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of
It's a
violent the
old,
first.
old style mugging. Yeah.
Yeah, old style muggings, and that's not what I was expecting when I first like. Well, just playing that song, and you're watching
Yeah.
Joan walk through the streets, and all of a sudden she catches the eye of or Simon catches her, and he just follows her through the streets and leads him to a little alley, and all of a sudden he gets bum rushed by King and his gang.
Yeah.
I, I like, oh, okay, is that type of movie?
Yeah. Yeah. You don't know where you're going with it.
I don't. I had no clue, and I just went along for the ride, which is kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And then, of course, next thing we see is the Freya character who's talking Brenner, Bernard.
Bernard. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
The government official Bernard, who we just know he's an official of some type.
That's all we know. Yeah. He works for the government. That's it.
And I like Freya because she's an artist, but I'm looking at the art that she presents Bernard, and I'm like, I don't know if that's art, but okay, I guess someone thinks it's art.
And she's one of the rare people that we might know. I mean, people are into old American movies because Viveka Lindfors was in a bunch of stuff back then, back in the 50s and stuff like that. So you might recognize her. She had a pretty good career here for quite a while in the United States.
Mm. Well, I liked her character a lot because she belongs in that whole beatnik area too as an artist and stuff like that. So it's really cool to see this. I mean, like I'm saying, this is not.
Oh yeah, she was her character was based on an actual sculptor from that time named Frink. I think it was Jean Frink, if I remember her first name right, who did all of the actual statues that you'll see in this movie.
Oh, cool.
That she lent them to the production so they could use them. But she was sort of like a real avant-garde beatnik type.
Yes.
A sculptress, and there's all kinds of weird things going on here. It's like, well,
it is because
now Bernard you might recognize. He's played by a guy named Alexander Knox, who did a lot of stuff that came over here to the United States.
Yeah, he did.
And they paid homage to him in the Tim Burton Batman because they had Alexander Knox as the character played by Robert Wall.
Not the only one other than Oliver Reed, I recognized his name.
Yeah, he's one of the more recognizable British actors that we grew up with.
But Freya is artist renting a villa from Bernard, and they're just discussing that when the major brings in a really beat up Simon. And at this point, I'm not thinking Simon is like a major character at all. I think, oh, he got his ass whooped, so we're switching over to Freya, and that's what I'm thinking. So, you
think they're just using McDonald Carey as a guy just to attract attention, for the American crowd. Oh, they know him. He's going to be a big, throwing him, because movies would do that all the time back then.
Yeah, but
get a ringer in there for
ringer. That's perfect word for a ringer. A ringer. But then we realize the way this movie is crafted, it's showing us all the characters that are going to play a part in the film, even though we don't know how they all gel just yet. Because I'm thinking, I like Freya from the moment
she's a great character. Yeah,
she's just a great character. And so I'm thinking she's the main character.
Yeah,
so the movie kind of splinters off back to Simon, who ends up meeting with what's her name? Joan. Well, I guess what happens is he's fixing up a boat, whereas Joan is with King and the rest of the gang.
I mean, they don't really explain it. You sort of pick up little clues here and there. He was a big executive, big business executive who just basically said the hell with it.
Yeah.
And he bought a boat, and he's like on this, round the world cruise almost. I mean, it's a pretty good sized boat.
Yeah.
But now this is taking him to Great Britain right now, and he's just sort of he ends up in this town as one of his stops. And then he catches sight of Joan, who's played, by the way, by Sally Ann Field. If you've watched a lot of British TV or old British shows, she was on it just about everything made in Great Britain about this time. But it's not well known here in the United States. Just good looking gals, so they get your attention right right away. And of course, Simon goes, "Whoa, I like this town." Of course, and he falls prey to the trap. I mean, as we
Yes,
find out that King's her brother, and King uses her to seduce these people so they can mug them, get
yeah,
all their money.
yeah, but King's also extremely possessive for an older,
Oh God, yes, yeah.
almost like borderline incestuously in
Apparently, the novel that this is based on, and I didn't know for years that this was based on a novel.
oh,
The novel hinted at that,
okay.
and Joseph Losey was going to bring that in, and then the British producer said, "No, we don't want you to go there. Just let's stay away from that aspect of it, and just and so and that was probably wise in '62. That would not have been well received.
No,
Think.
and I like the fact that they downplayed it. Really, it's really
Yes, I do too. Yeah,
it's King's perspective that you think that he has like these almost undertoned feelings for his own sister because of how possessive he is, but his sister has no feelings for him whatsoever.
No, not at all. Yeah.
So that's where those and that's a dynamic that I wasn't used to seeing Oliver Reed play. So it was fun watching him play this character in this movie.
You got that right.
Yeah. But eventually, what happens is as these the king and his gang and Joan are chilling on the beach, Joan catches eye of Simon at his boat and she rushes off.
I love this scene.
Get to him. And we don't know exactly why just yet, but I think Simon represents kind of this escape from her brother and everything else. And
I think so.
Chases after him. And of course, Simon still gets got, in this little trap with her, who ends up kind of saving her from her own brother and the gangs.
Right.
She jumps on his boat and they go off to the sea, so to speak. King and his men are furious. They're like looking for him the entire way through the town. Where is he at? He's here, he's there. It's very cool and comical at the same time, but none of that hints at the undertones of what's going to happen in the story at all.
Right.
Like, I'm saying a lot about this at the very beginning because it is so different from what happens in the film when you get into the second act that it's almost a bit too jarring. It's like, wow, this, and by the time you get to the end of the movie, it's like, whoa, this is the movie.
Yeah.
Wow. So
yeah, it was like two different movies there for a minute. But they do all connect up eventually.
They do all connect up, but it's interesting to see how these people's lives are all intertwined because once Joan is off with Simon and they've escaped King and the rest of them, they hold up in the villa that Freya was.
I was going to say, when you know they'd end up where Freya lives.
Freya, who only uses the place like during the summer when she has to do.
Right.
So she's not always there. But Joan and the rest of the gang know that the house is where that's rented out to this artist, this sculptor. So they know that they can go there and do whatever they want to because she's not there all the time. And obviously Bernard doesn't spend any time at that house.
Oh, no. Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah, it's just a villa that he owns or he operates, and that's about it.
And it adjoins the military base that apparently he works with or whatever. He's got a connection with them.
And that's one of the cool things about this is because it slowly partials those things in because yes, we get to this little island that looks really nice. The villa's excellent, but right there's a military base.
Yeah,
where people aren't allowed to get into. And it's really interesting because when we start, I can't remember when we first see the kids. I don't think we see the kids at this point, do we?
It's right around this time because all of a sudden it jumps to that story, and you go, "What's going on? What's going on here?"
It's
I think it's right about. I think you're right about at it because King and I'm not King. Simon and Joan sort of tete-a-tete in the
Oh,
villa, so to speak.
yes, it is around that
And
time.
I think then all of a sudden these kids come out of nowhere. It's like, wait a minute, what's happening here?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A whole classroom of kids in which Bernard speaks to them
Right.
through a television screen. And it's odd because you're not set up to see this, and you don't
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
what this is, but it's not. It's such a short scene that it piques your interest, but then you forget about it till we see it
Right.
again.
Right.
Because what happens is that King and his gang know where Simon is holed up because of his gang members have been watching. So obviously they send King over there, but they end up leaving first because they think that it's King that has found them, but it's really Freya. So they end up
Right.
leaving
Right.
the villa first, thinking it's King, but it's Freya. So we see Freya come in there, and she's like, I'm getting good idea for my art, but I see people have been here, uh,
Yeah.
and it wasn't me. It's and what she does in this scene is so funny, yet so cool at the same time. It's like, oh, so we had some young lovers just in my bed having
Yeah.
fun, and I'm gonna go back to art.
Yeah. That's right. Like, oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm
What's
gonna go
art?
back to art, but then King shows up. Like King shows up and he's like, "Where are they? Where are they?" I know it's so funny to watch Oliver Reed as this character. I'm
Oh,
loving
yeah,
this
man.
dude. I'm loving this movie because it's like, oh my god, he is having so much fun playing this off-kilter little obsessive brother. Because
Absolutely. Yeah.
he's so maniacal because he doesn't want his sister to be involved with this outsider.
Or with anybody, any man. I
Well,
think
with
you always
anybody,
get
yes.
yeah, you just get that impression that
Yeah, so it's so funny because then he and Freya have this little altercation, uh, and it ends up and them outside, of course, and you, of course,
oh
you,
yeah,
yeah, but it's funny because you're not thinking Freya is gonna be at all have an altercation with King because King is such an odd character to begin with.
right.
Uh, Jesus, oh my God, and then what happens is King, flees looking for his sister and Simon, and then it becomes this weird. I'm trying to remember, was there a scene before it becomes a weird little chase scene at night where they're on the
Well,
military?
they sort of figure out that they've escaped to the base or whatever. You
Yeah,
know, it's they
yeah,
have to
because
break in. They have to break in. They have to
break
climb
in.
the fence to get in.
Yeah, they break into the fence, but it's not just King who's chasing after him. King has his henchmen all.
Oh, all those little minions. Yeah.
It's so funny. You just see them popping up everywhere. They're
Right.
hiding on top of little hills. They're
Yeah.
observers, just watching everybody and everything going on and relaying
Yeah.
it back to King. It's so funny. And so of course King is chasing after these two. And like in the middle of the night on the military base, they have no idea what they're doing or where they're going. And unfortunately, the Simon and Joan
Joan.
get chased off of a cliff.
Right. Yeah. Because this is all along the coast.
Along
Or
the
whatever.
coast, it's dark,
Yeah.
and they get chased off a cliff. But of course, Simon, not Simon, but King doesn't really know if they're alive. He knows that whatever it is, he has to find out the truth. So he's
That's right. That's right.
climbing down the cliff, which is just funny to me.
Yeah.
The other two fall down the cliff and they're climbing. Now, all everything, once they get, once they break into the military base, obviously all the military personnel are aware of someone having broken into the place.
Right.
So Bernard and the major and their henchmen are all up in atoms and stuff like that. But what's funny, at least for me, is that they fall down the cliff, Simon and Joan, and they get saved by these kids.
Yeah. These kids show up out of nowhere.
Like, okay, so these are the kids we just saw in the classroom
right. Right.
earlier, and now they're saving these two from a cliff fall.
Right.
And as an audience member, you're like, huh?
Whoa. Yeah. There's this door that just opens up onto it's like kid comes out and says, "Come on, come on in."
It's so funny. It's funny, but it's also odd and weird and
Yeah.
engaging
Yeah.
and
Bizarre.
interesting at the same time. Because it's no longer just this kind of motorcycle gang beatnik type of movie. It's morphed into something else because
Yeah,
you're
now it's going somewhere else. Yeah.
and like next thing you know, Simon and Joan are in the kids' lair, so to speak. Uh,
Yeah.
you find out that this is secret from Bernard and the Major and everyone else. It's
Right. Yeah. There's cameras everywhere except this one little place that
yep,
that that whoever Bernard works for or whatever, they let the kids sort of go wherever they want to go. And there's one place
yeah. Uh,
that's not under camera. The kids think, okay, this is our safe place. They can't
yeah,
find us
a
here.
safe place. And so this is where it gets interesting, at least
Yeah.
for me,
Now it gets really bizarre.
because Simon and Joan just see these group of kids as innocent kids, and they just need to be saved because whatever's going on there can't be good.
Yeah.
And it
I
can't.
got to admit, the first time I saw this, I kept thinking, wow, maybe these guys are experimenting on him or something. It's just, your mind races. It's like, okay, why would
Does.
they? If they're in the middle of this mountain or whatever. I guess it's a mountain or whatever.
Mhm.
And now we figure, okay, that's where the classroom was, and there's cameras everywhere. Man, what the hell's going? And it's the military. So what in the world is going on here?
Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly what I thought too when I was watching it. I was like, is the military experimenting on these
Yeah.
kids or something? And they parcel out the information very slowly, so you don't have
Yes.
a full picture of what's really going on. But what you do know is that these children are odd because they are completely cold to the touch. They have
Yes.
they reveal that they've never been around anyone who's a warm-bodied person. Like
Hmm.
Joan and Simon are the first ones. And even King makes reference that when he first feels he touches one of the kids, that he thinks they're all dead because
Yeah.
they're so
Yeah.
old. King is funny when this happens. He becomes the guy. He's no longer this high management type of gang person. He's actually now the whimpering person, like, what the heck's going on,
Oh, I know.
people?
Yeah. He's a little frightened little kid.
Yeah. I think this is the section where he is seen for me as most childlike or
Oh,
kid-like.
absolutely. Yeah.
I hate to say this, Oliver Reed never looks like he's a young person. So he's supposed
Right.
to be his, I guess, teenager gang leader, and he doesn't look like a teenager to me.
No. No.
Like he doesn't.
But
He
then you
doesn't
wonder, okay,
dress.
what is this going to be, a zombie movie or something? My God. Yeah. I mean, you don't know where it's going, but you got to stay with it because it's like, okay, now I got to find this out. I got to find out what's going on.
Because at the moment where I was like, I don't know where this is going, when I was watching the movie for the first time, I'm like, I don't know where this is going. This is, I'm waiting for some horror aspects or something like that. And of
Yeah.
course, it gets really interesting when they meet the kids and they're trying to figure out what the hell's going on with these kids. But they do know that the kids are locked up and they
Yep.
don't
They're
have
prisoners.
any connection with other people, warm bodied people. They only are connected with themselves. They don't know who their parents are because they
And the
think
guy on the TV set. That's it.
that's about all they know. And so for Simon and Joan and even us, the audience, we think, oh my God, the government's experimenting on kids.
Well, we do have one little scene that it's something we learned that the kids don't even know at first is when they're all asleep, these guys in these radiation suits show up. There's two of them, and they're just sort of prowling around doing something or other. Now you're going, okay, now what's going on? What's with this? What's happening here? Who are these kids?
Yeah.
And that really starts getting to you.
Yeah, you know what? I almost forgot about that first scene where they show up while the kids are sleeping.
Yeah, it just sort of slaps you in the face. It's like, whoa, where'd that come from?
Yeah. I mean, this film does that throughout the whole thing with the way it's presented, which is why I really enjoyed certain aspects of this movie. But once Simon and Joan get it into their head that they need to save these kids, they need to find a way to help them escape where they are, and get them away from the government officials and stuff like that.
Right.
it's interesting because there's not a lot of violence in this movie at the beginning. At the end, obviously, there's a lot of implied violence. But to be honest with you, there's not a lot. This movie plays up on the ideals of what some very post-apocalyptic, very science fiction type of ideals.
Yes, yes.
Because as Simon and Joan try to save these kids, they realize the full nature of what's really going on there at the facility. And Bernard is more or less like a caregiver, or I think
I think he's like sort of in charge of the operation.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the bosses. I mean,
he is, but he's more like a caregiver for the kids because he doesn't.
Well, yeah. He's like the teacher and all that. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I like his character because he doesn't want to impose too much control over the kids.
Right.
He allows them at their hiding place.
Yeah,
like, they know about the hiding place. The Major knows about it, and Major wants to go in there and raid the place. And Bernard tells them no, they need something like that to feel as much normal as possible.
Yes.
Those ideals that you see a very big difference between Bernard and the Major when you.
Very much so. Yeah.
So
very much so.
Could be a military person, but he's not at the same caliber of military.
Yeah, he's more of a scientist than I think.
Yeah. He's like a higher end scientist, and that's because he knows the real nature of what's going on and why they're all there, why the kids are there, and all that. Now, for everyone listening to the podcast, if you've never seen this film and you don't want to know any of the spoilers, you should stop the recording. Stop
right now would be a good time. Yeah.
Yeah, because in order for us to delve deep into this movie, we have to reveal the ending of the film and kind of the concepts behind it, or there's no reason to really discuss this movie. What we've discussed so far is a lot of setup for some really cool ideals.
Yeah.
Film presents at the very end. So please, if you want to have a spoiler-free conversation, please stop it now and come back after you've seen the movie. For everyone else, we're going to go into the rest of the movie, and we hope that you enjoy that. So, how much you want to reveal some of this, or you want me to?
Well, yeah, because we're right at the point where they come up with this idea. Simon and Joan, they realize they got to save these kids, and the kids are going for it. They said, "Yeah, we want to go with you." And King is sort of bonded with one of the boys, one of the little kids in there. They sort of getting along with each other. I almost think King looks at him as like a little brother, or something like that. So I've got this plan to get out. Suits show up, they jump them and knock them out. And in doing so, they get a hold of a Geiger counter that one of them has. And of course, Simon's like, what in the world is this? It's clicking madly. And then he realizes these kids are radioactive. That's a problem. Now we've got to get rid of them. And the first thing I'm thinking is, okay, man, these guys are experimenting with these kids in radiation. Oh my God. I mean, because this is early 1960s, folks. And a lot of this has to do with the pending nuclear war or whatever. And so you figure, okay, they're going in that direction, but it's really not going in the direction you think. They do get outside of the cave, but they get recaptured or whatever. They get most of the kids back. Simon and Joan get away. King manages to get away with the little boy that he bonded with. They steal a car and take off. Yeah. And now you start getting the real reveal as to what's really going on. No, they're not experimenting with the kids. They're radioactive because they were born that way.
Yeah.
And their parents or their mothers, their parents, but the mothers, while they were carrying them, were in a situation where there was a nuclear accident. Now in 1962, this is pretty unique. I mean, we can think nowadays, okay, well, they had Chernobyl and 3 Mile Island and all. None of that stuff had happened back then. We just only thought about it could happen. But apparently, okay, this is what they're alluding to is some kind of maybe a meltdown, or I would say like a Chernobyl thing. That's the only thing I could think of.
No, I
Not
was
when I
about to
first
say,
saw this, because Chernobyl had never happened. But as I later on, it was like, oh, that's what they're talking about. Okay,
yeah, I was
but
thinking of something like that, or 3 Mile Island, because I literally just watched the documentary on Three
yeah,
Mile Island a month ago, and so first thing that I was like, oh shit, this thing is like,
great timing.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, so apparently the kids are now immune to if there was a nuclear war, they would be immune to the fallout because that's why they're so pale and why they're so cold. Their
Mhm.
body's already adjusted to because it all happened while they were in the womb. But the parents are all dead.
Yeah.
They all died of radiation poisoning. But being around these kids is dangerous for any normal human, which is why when the kids see anybody that's not on the little TV screen, they're in a radiation suit to protect themselves. So now we know that King and Joan and Simon are in deep trouble. I mean, they're going to die. I mean, Bernard makes no bones about it. It's pretty much, they've been around these kids too long. They're,
Well, that's
they're they're now, they've been poisoned by the radiation.
well, that's the cool thing about the way the story unfolds. Bernard tells them, he lets Joan and Simon go back on their boat,
Yeah,
knowing that they're soon going to die, and then the plan is just to recapture them and destroy the boat and any trace of their existence.
that's right. That's
And the
right.
same happens with King and the
Well,
kid.
yeah, King just denies it. He's just going to take the kid and go. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
going to get away
well,
from
the
these.
kid really he doesn't really want the kid. The kid goes with him, and
Yeah,
like
that's true.
which is funny. That's the whole scene with him and the kid in the car, and when they're driving
Yeah,
away, driving real fast and all that type of stuff. You see King's like at this state where like it's like he's with his little brother instead of
right,
his
right.
sister. And of course that it's really tragic. The way this movie unfolds is really tragic
Oh
because
yeah, yeah.
Bernard then goes up to Freya because Freya has been introduced to all these different characters and she's a witness to all these characters.
Right, right.
And Bernard tries to convince her to be part of what he is doing.
Yeah, he tells her all about it. Tells her
Tells
the
her
whole
all
thing.
about it, and but she refuses
Yeah,
to be a part of what is going on, what he's doing, despite the fact that everything that Bernard thinks he's doing is for the betterment of mankind and for the future of mankind. He
right.
thinks he's doing a good thing, but man, when this movie ends and we see first we see Simon and Joan driving away in the boat, and then the helicopter is right above them,
Yeah.
just waiting for them to die.
Oh,
And
and they take care of Freya. I mean,
yeah,
Bernard has to take care of
I was gonna
Freya.
get to that one too
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
because we also see the helicopter stop King and the little kid in the middle of the road.
Yes, yeah.
And I was like, this cannot end well. They get the kid,
No.
but King is still exposed and he's still a witness.
Well, King tells the kid to get out. He just says, "Go, get out of
yeah,
here, get away, go on, go on." Just and he knows he's gone. I mean,
yeah.
King knows that he's not going to live through this.
And then the last thing, of course, Freya, which is where we get back to. I have to say we have to get back to her because what happens is she's kind of denounced Bernard, even though
Yes,
she's his villa, and she goes back to sculpting, knowing that there is no good solution to what's going to happen to her. She already
right.
knows what Bernard's going to do, and while she's not looking, Bernard shoots her. And
Yeah,
all the witnesses to having seen these kids and knowing about this whole situation have been killed.
yep.
And it's like, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, they tied up all the loose ends. Oh my God! No, I
This,
never saw that coming. I didn't think Freya was going to die in this
dude,
thing
I didn't
because she
see
was
any
never
of this
around.
coming.
She was never around the kids or whatever. So I figured, okay, she's going to be all right because she wasn't
Just
exposed. I know Simon and Joan. They're in trouble because they've been exposed so long to this radiation. But Freya. But then when he shoots Freya, I was like, oh my God! I didn't know that. I mean, I didn't think that was going to happen. You know,
no, it's it's
Jeez.
it's not a film you would think would be as tragic as what you're
Yeah,
watching.
yeah, and then of course you've got Simon and Joan. We don't see them die, but they're on the boat, and basically the major's like saying when that boat starts getting erratic and out of control, and you know they're dead, take it out.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
blow it up.
Blow it up.
No
I was like,
trace, no traces of
wow.
any, we don't have any traces of anything. It was
Yeah.
like, whoa.
Yeah, it is one of those like jaw dropping sequences for an end of a movie that really
Yeah,
touch you
yeah,
because you've gotten to know these characters, you got to feel for these characters because they're and then all of a sudden this is what happens to them. It's one of those things where they didn't ask for it, they weren't part of it. It's all just happenstance. It
yeah.
just happens to them.
And then they put the capper on. I mean, like the last scene. I mean, okay, everything you're like sort of recovering from everything that's going on here. You see that the town is back to normal. People are frolic because this is a tourist place. They're frolicking on the beach, and as the camera's sort of pulling out, you hear the cries of the kids,
Yes.
muffled inside of the mountain. Go help, help, help.
Yeah,
So it's like, let's just punch this one more time here, guys.
yeah, someone help us.
Yeah.
Someone help us. This is repeated by the kids. I was like,
Right.
damn, that's how this is. Wow. It's such a
they wouldn't let you go.
oh, it was like I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
How did I never hear about this fucking movie before
Well,
now?
I don't understand that either because, and it wasn't just a few hours ago, doing some little prep work before we got together. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to read what the critics, because a lot of times I don't care what the critics think about it. But I was curious on this one. This thing got great reviews in Great Britain and in the United States. And it was like, how in the world did this not get out? And all I can think of is at the time it came out, 1965, there were a lot of like film companies and stuff that thought, oh man, we can't put out this kind of material. It's too scary. It was just too real back.
It reminds me of some of those made for TV movies that were coming out.
Some folks on my podcast and others. Yeah, when I grew up, none of us, my age, as kids, none of us thought we were going to die normal deaths, natural deaths. We all were convinced that at some juncture in our lifetime, the button would get pressed and we'd all go. We just accepted it. I mean, it was just, it just seemed like, yeah, there's so many of these weapons around, it's just going to happen. Yeah. So, TV people and movie people sort of like, we don't really want to play this up too much because it was a real scary, scary situation.
Yeah.
So I think that's the only reason this film didn't get known for so long.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't until you really saw, well, they slapped us with it a little bit with Planet of the Apes. That really brought it out. But it was like the TV show, the TV movie, The Day After, that really just threw it right in front of us and all that stuff. But for the most part, filmmakers and stuff sort of danced around it. It was the crux of a lot of movies in the late 50s and early 60s. But I mean, this one just sort of slapped you. It was one of the first I can remember really slapped you in the face with it.
Yeah, it made me memorize another movie that I thought might be like a companion to it, but that didn't come out till 20 years later, which is The Day After. I don't know.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's the one that really just said, "Okay, here's it. This is it, folks. This is what you're looking at."
Yeah, there was a British movie that came out.
Threads.
That's it. Thank you. I couldn't remember what it was. Thank you.
Out of the two of them, Threads is the most outstanding of the two, and it's the most scary. It's just terrifying, and it's brutal.
Yeah, it is brutal.
It is a brutal movie. Yeah, because they don't make they make no bones about the fact that it's not going to be you sort of you don't have a happy ending on The Day After, but it was a whole lot nicer than it probably would really be. And Threads is like, no, this is going to be ugly, folks. And it's ugly in that movie. Oh, my God.
But the thing is, those are 20 years after this movie.
Yeah.
I was like, this movie was like hitting on some of those ideals 20 years.
That's right.
Or the two movies I could think of that hit on that same concept really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And think about it, there's only two movies that have really done that. You haven't seen too many since those two.
Not that take it seriously, like
not like
lots
that.
of post-apocalyptic films that don't
Well, yeah, yeah.
necessarily
You get
take
into
it
the
real.
action style ones, but it's,
Yeah, yeah. The ones that take it really seriously is few and far in between.
right.
I really like this film because it was so different than what I was expecting. I
Oh
actually
God,
really
yeah, yeah.
like the fact that I knew nothing about this film before walking into the film. I think that actually added to my enjoyment of the
Oh
film.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's the strength of this movie
Yeah.
is that you think you know where they're going to go, and boy, they don't even come close.
No, no. And the thing is, I I didn't grow up in the 60s. I didn't fucking I grew up in the 80s. So movies like The Day After Threads are more my wheelhouse.
Sure, sure.
But the thing is, when I'm watching this film, it makes me feel like like I had some kinship to that time period because we were all thinking that
Oh
same
yeah,
way.
yeah.
Unfortunately, in this day and age, everything would be like you said, action film, post-apocalypse stuff. They would never take
Right.
the material seriously. So it's interesting to see this film take it dead serious, because they built up all this sympathy and this empathy for these characters. You like these characters, and then it's a gut punch to what happens to all these characters.
Yeah, and then you still wonder, and you wonder about the kids.
Yeah,
Um, okay, yeah, they'll survive a nuclear war. If they're the only ones that will survive, what kind of life are they going to have? It's like, okay, yeah, they might live, but
yeah.
wow.
Well, the other hard thing is to think about is that because of the kids, Bernard is thinking that we're going to be hitting a nuclear bomb, or it's going to go off a nuclear world soon. Like it's not
Oh
10,
yeah,
20,
yeah,
30
yeah.
years from now.
Well,
30, 40, 50 years from now. It's like, well, it might happen tomorrow. It might happen 10 years from
and
now.
that's how a lot of us grew up thinking.
Yeah.
Just and any but and then the other thing that hit me the last time I saw it, which was about a month ago, I got thinking, wait a minute, the military's all involved with this too. This could also be the kind of thing that, okay, we got these kids and they're going to survive, and there are our values and all that. So let's go ahead and press the button. We have nothing to lose because we will be the ones surviving it. And there's some people that think that way. Because there were military people well into the 80s and stuff that actually thought somebody would win a nuclear war.
Yes, I know.
Well, and a guy like Carl Sagan said, "You're idiots. No, nobody wins. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Everybody dies.
Nuclear winter.
You don't have a winner in a nuclear war."
No. Oh my God.
By the way, I wanted to mention Joseph Losey, who is the director of this. He was an American director who was, and people say, well, why did he direct this British film? Well, he was blacklisted by the McCarthy Commission. And so he ended up living in Great Britain and ended up doing movies over there. And this is, I think, one of his best films. This was a tremendous
I'm not
film.
familiar with him. What other films?
No, and people aren't, because he most of the stuff he did ended up being over in Great Britain and stuff that Americans didn't get to see much.
Interesting.
Yeah, one of those few that got chased out of the country by Joseph McCarthy and his bunch.
Yeah, I've read several books about that whole time period.
Oh God.
So sad.
Yeah, there's a lot of actors and stuff whose careers were ruined by those people.
Yep.
But this was this I think is really, really well done. And it was based. Let me see. I got my notes here. Based on the novel was that came out in 1960 called "The Children of Light." H.L. Lawrence was the author of it. If anyone wants to read the book that it's based on.
Children of Light?
The Children of Light.
Interesting. I might actually have to look at, because as I've discussed in other podcast episodes for the show, I've said that I've been secretly collecting a lot of the Hammer Studio novelizations that they are now.
Yeah.
I am reading Hands of the Ripper right now. Oh, I'm hoping to have,
that's a good movie.
I'm hoping to have that completely read by the time we talk about it.
Yes, that is. I have not read the book, so I can't comment on whether it's like the book or not. I'm sure it's before Evan Jones, who wrote the song Black Leather Rock for the movie.
That song will be in my.
It's a very. I think the screenplay was extremely well written as well.
I think that song will probably be in my head for a while.
You can't. It's one of those you can't get out of your head
because they say it all the time, and it's so funny. You think it's in the background when the movie opens, and
yes,
then, of course, Jones starts singing it, and it's like
then everybody starts singing.
Everyone starts
at some point, yeah.
It's like that's interesting to do that through the whole movie. I need to do that in one of our movies where it's...
And you can find it on YouTube, folks. Yes, they have it on YouTube.
Okay. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Oh Jesus. But that being said, this even though this is not as like a straightforward horror film, Hammer put these type of ideals in a lot of their earlier films.
Yeah.
Even though they weren't direct horror, they have these horror elements in them that just stay with you. And that's one of the great things about their early, the 60s, especially movies from the 60s that stay with you. I mean, everything from Quatermass, all three of those, which most people will say they're sci-fi, yeah, but they got some horror elements in those movies.
Yeah, no, there's some horror to them.
Yeah, there's some horror.
Absolutely. No, I would absolutely believe that. Yeah.
And I'm not going to, I don't think we're going to have, well, we may have time to stick to their prehistoric movies that they did, because even those have some elements in them as well. For everyone
they got monsters. Yeah.
They have monsters. If you guys really want us to talk about the prehistoric movies, they didn't do many of them. We could always do those.
Not too many, no, just a couple.
They're good, though.
I loved them, man. I loved everybody. Yeah, I loved those. Came out in the early 70s and stuff. They were fun.
So... I'm trying to think, Jim, is there anything else that we need to discuss with this movie that we think we may have glossed over?
No, I don't think we glossed over anything that I can think of. It just that even if you hadn't watched the movie and you listened to the whole podcast, I would say go watch it, because you're still, that experience is still going to be there. I mean, I think even if you sort of know what's coming, you're going to watch the filmmaking behind it, because it's incredible how Losey put this thing together.
Yeah, this is now, like, people will look. I know some audience members will look at it as, one, it's a black and white film, and two, it may seem old because of the whole beatnik ideals and all that type of stuff. But it represents a time where it was much more innocent, yet not innocent, because this British town that was covered in random muggings and crime.
Right.
And, we do have a nefarious government doing stuff right in the backyard of everyone.
Right.
Who is completely oblivious.
Yeah, this innocent little tourist town, this beautiful little tourist town. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, the Simon character who's just traveling on his vacation, the ideal that he gets stuck in this world, not just the underbelly of crime with the king and his gang character, but also that of the government, is like this,
right.
He should have had an innocent and joyful vacation like Freya is trying to do.
If you're going on a summer vacation, do you expect to die of radiation poisoning?
Yeah. I just really enjoyed this film because it was a surprisingly great film, and I could easily jump into the world, the time period that they crafted for this film.
Absolutely.
I laugh at the fact that Oliver Reed doesn't look like any type of teenager I've ever met before.
No, he doesn't. No, never will.
Dude, I love Oliver Reed because he chews scenery so well in these old movies.
Yes.
It's just a joy to watch him.
Yeah. But your analogy with Psychomania is perfect, because he was in that one too. And they're very, very similar. They are very similar in their bizarreness.
Yeah, and Psychomania is one of my favorite guilty.
Oh, it's a phenomenal film.
Dude, I love that movie. I've seen that movie in its lowest form. A VHS with all the grains.
So have I. Yeah, I had it on VHS.
And I have a clean version now. I have a really great version now. But I don't know what it is about that movie. That movie is like, I just love that movie. It's so weird and odd, but this one will be one of those movies. This absolutely is one of the films I'm going to tell people about. And I absolutely love it. And that's a great thing for me and for Hammer Studios, because I'm learning and discovering stuff that I hadn't before. This is one of the few of the Hammer Studio I have not seen. And unfortunately, it's more of the 60s Hammer Studio films that I have not seen. I've seen most all of the 70s and 80s movies, and of course,
all the other ones got so much airplay on television and on cable and stuff. This one just did not, for some reason. And I think the reason was they thought it was too provocative. You know, the people really were terrified of the possibility of nuclear war, and we were on the brink for many years. Or even though we've come to find out that the Russians weren't as stupid as we thought they were. They didn't want it any more than we did. But it's still it still was a scary time.
Well, and it would probably actually be more also be prevalent today, considering what's going on with North Korea.
It is now. Yeah, no, I've talked to many people say, man, it's like we came around full circle. Now it's back again.
Yeah,
it's like it was in the 60s.
People wanting nuclear arms and nuclear.
Oh my God!
Yeah. Woo! It's a scary time.
Scary stuff.
So, well, Jim, I want to thank you for joining us on this conversation about The Damned, or These Are the Damned, or however you want to call it for everyone. For everyone listening, I hope you've enjoyed us talking about this film. What we love to do is we love to rate the film. Now, we rate the film from 1 to 5 according to an object, a quote, a saying, or something in the film, because we like to be different than everyone else. So, with that, Jim, what do you rate this film between 1 to 5, and what object or quote or thing do you want to rate it as?
Oh, probably a 4.5 black leathers.
You stole mine, dude.
I know everybody's going to say black leather. I knew probably. It's the only thing you could pull from this film.
I'm gonna do 4.5 too. I'm gonna do 4.5 men in hazmat suits sneaking.
Oh, okay. I should have taken the hazmat suits.
Sneaking into the kids' lair.
Yeah, that's 2 times in a row now I've taken your thing.
I know, because we do the most obvious ones sometimes.
Yeah.
It's the most fun. With that, I hope you've all enjoyed our conversation in horror episode as we our conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors. We're having so much fun getting it confused with the original podcast, Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, in which we delved into These Are the Damned, aka The Damned, depending on which version you would like to know, from 1965 as released in the U.S. So I'm saying all this so you can find it easily.
Yes.
So you can find it easily. With that, I hope you've enjoyed your listening to us talk about it. Please make sure to check out previous episodes of our show. We are delving deep into all of the great, amazing films from Hammer Studios. Doesn't matter what decade, we will eventually get to all of them, we hope. Yeah. Also, make sure to check out our other podcast, Conversations in Horror, which is every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Please make sure to like, follow, subscribe, do that thing you do with your favorite podcast and your favorite podcast app, Spotify, YouTube, and make sure to leave us comments about stuff that you would like to hear us talk about, or just to generally tell us how much you love the film that we've been discussing, because we would love to hear what other thoughts on other fans of Hammer Studio films have. So have a great day, and we will see you on the next episode. Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures and Something Wicked Entertainment podcast. It is hosted by Kevin L. Powers, original music provided by Dusty Ellison, produced and directed by Kevin L. Powers. Our executive producer is Kelly A. Inoka. This podcast is produced in Gwinnett County, Georgia. Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors is part of the Conversations in Horror podcast franchise and is copyright 2025 Broken Lighthouse Pictures. No part of this program can be used without express permission from Broken Lighthouse Pictures.